I paid $948,000 to build my dream home as an owner builder, and it only took me 150 days. Here is the total cost breakdown. So this is a 3,700 square foot house with 4 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, a playroom, and an upstairs office. There's also a 700 square foot covered patio, a 100 square foot covered front porch, a 500 square foot covered portiche, and a 700 square foot garage. That makes a total of 5,700 square feet of building. And for context, I built this home acting as my own general contractor, which allowed me to save over $250,000 on the build cost. In comparison, if I were to have hired an actual home builder to build my home. If you haven't already seen the home tour video, then go check that out next, because I'm not gonna be showing every single part of my home in this video. Also, my numbers in this video are rounded to the nearest 100, but if you stick around to the end of the video, you will see my actual cost tracker that lists every cost down to the penny. Now, let's get into the cost breakdown. My piece of land cost $174,000, and it's 1 acre in size, located in the North Houston area, and it's also inside a gated subdivision of about 30 to 40 homes. My building plans cost me $6,988, and building plans or building blueprints are the single most important aspect of any development project, and for my specific project, I probably dedicated a full week's worth of my life to try to find the perfect architect to work with on this home build. And that was a very stressful week because that is a very important decision to make. So throughout that week, I probably contacted anywhere from 50 to 70 different architects to get their prices and their timeline of delivery. I found that the range of prices were from anywhere from $3 up to $10 a square foot. So that's somewhere around $7,000 to $50,000. I found that some said they would give me my finalized plans in 6 weeks. Some said 6 months, some said a year, and some said we can't even give you an estimate. So very wide range of selection as far as architects to choose from. And I feel like I made the perfect decision because the architect knocked it out of the park on the design of my home, an immaculate, very unique custom design, as well as great customer service. And they were able to get me my finalized plans in 6 or 7 weeks. And they probably could have did it a little bit faster, but I had several revisions I made towards the end of the design process. So if you're building a home soon and you want to work with the architects who designed my house, I will put their contact information down below in the description of this video so you can contact them and partner with them on your own home build. Permitting cost me $495. About $200 went to the actual home build permit, and then about $300 went towards the permit for my private septic system. Obviously, $495 is super cheap for permitting, but if I were to go just 5 or 10 miles up the road, it would cost me $15,000 to $20,000 to be able to permit this house. So that's why when I say permitting directly correlates to your exact location, that is a significance. Here it's only $495. Just 5 miles that way, it would be $15,000 to $20,000. So now let's talk about the cost of the utility connections. And for my home, I had 3 public utility connections, which are the water connection, the electrical connection, and then also the natural gas connection. Starting with the water connection, where there is a main line in this neighborhood where I had to pay a local water district to install a water tap. This was a non-negotiable rate, and I could not have my own subcontractor do it. Instead, I had to pay a local water company where I am doing business with to supply my water a rate to install the water tap, and that was $4,600. They put a valve with a meter box so they can see how much water I'm using in the future. And then that is the line that I connected to that supplies my entire property with water. So my water connection cost $4,600. Next is the natural gas connection, which here the company is called CenterPoint that does the natural gas supply. And they actually ran the line as well as set the meter for $0. They charged me nothing. Same thing with the electrical supply installed by Entergy. Underground electrical line, underground service, $0. And I don't know what their method is with that, but maybe it's that they charge $0 and then they just rail you month to month so that they can make their money. Regardless, $4,600 for the water connection, $0 for natural gas supply, $0 for the electrical connection. The site prep cost $27,000, and that included the cost to set the culvert, which is now below my driveway. Also a cost to knock down and haul off 2 pretty large trees. And lastly, the cost to build my dirt pad, which raised the elevation of my foundation roughly 3 feet, as well as a compaction report where an engineer came out and tested the compaction of that dirt pad to make sure it would be able to hold up and withstand the weight of my future foundation and of course my future house. My concrete foundation cost me $41,900, and I want to get into this one just a little bit further because it's a special trade to me on this project. It's the first time I've ever handled the foundation piecemeal, meaning buying all the material and hiring out several different parts of the labor myself instead of hiring a turnkey concrete foundation contractor. In the beginning, I got several bids that were roughly $65,000 to $70,000 to build my concrete foundation, and I was blown away. So I explored the opportunity and the possibility of doing it piecemeal, and I ended up paying $41,900, saving myself roughly $25,000. So the form board material was $860. The form board labor was $1,505. The makeup material, which was the poly for the vapor barrier as well as the rebar, was $5,025. The makeup labor was $5,519. The concrete material was $23,256, and then the labor to spread and finish the concrete was $2,659, all for a total of $41,900, where I saved roughly 25 grand. The framing trade cost me $57,900. The cornice trade cost me $23,900, and this consists of the wall sheathing, the wall wrap, the roof overhang framing, which was framed out of 2x4s and 2x6s, as well as the finished fascia board, which is a Hardy product, as well as the finished soffit board, which is also a Hardy product. My roof deck cost me $5,500, and my roof is close to 85 squares, and I chose to go with 25 squares of metal, and that 25 squares of metal, as well as a 4-foot by 4-foot skylight, cost me $16,500. And then for the remaining 60 squares or 65 squares, I went with a regular architectural shingle, and that cost me $13,700. Majority of the windows on this home build are oversized, like this 16 or 17 foot tall window, and I think there's roughly 30 windows on this home build. Cost me $11,500. The door that we most commonly use to enter and exit the house under the portiche, as well as this massive front entry pivot door, which is 9 foot tall by 7 foot wide, that was imported from Mexico and installed obviously here in America in my house, cost $11,400. 2 glass sliding doors on the back side of my house cost me $5,500. This one is a 16 foot long sliding door, and it leads to my back patio. It cost $3,000, and then the other sliding door is only 12 foot long right off of my master bedroom, and it cost about $2,500. The insulation cost $7,400, and for this entire home build, I had to use a fiberglass batt insulation. So in the walls, I was able to achieve a R13 with the 2x4 walls and a R19 with the 2x6 walls. But for the attic, I also had to use a fiberglass batt insulation instead of the more commonly used blown-in fiberglass insulation. I had to do fiberglass batt insulation because the roof pitch is too low, making some areas super hard to reach, as well as because of the design of the house is fairly complex. There are certain parts of the attic, like this one here in the 20-foot ceiling area in my living room, it's just completely inaccessible. So there's no way to get in there after you install drywall and spray in the fiberglass insulation. So even for the attic, I had to go with a fiberglass batt insulation application, and I was still able to achieve a R38 for the attic. So all insulation meets code, as well as it kept my cost super low. The polished concrete floors cost $14,300. The drywall trade cost $30,200, including the labor and material. And within the drywall trade, I made several upgrades, starting with the actual material itself, where I upgraded from a 1/2 inch thick drywall to a 5/8 inch thick drywall. So I used a wider, larger material, and I did it for several reasons. Going with larger drywall has several benefits, such as shear strength and stability, makes the walls of the house stronger, has a better fire rating, has better insulation, and it's also more soundproof. But those aren't the real reasons I made the upgrade. Instead, I upgraded to try to achieve a perfect level 5 finish. So I upgraded the drywall material, and then on the labor side, I decided to go with a more modern finish, which is this level 5. It's a smooth finish in comparison to going with level 4 or having a textured finish. I did level 5, so it's perfectly smooth like glass, which cost extra in labor, as well as going with these flush baseboard details. For the baseboards, this also cost more in labor on the drywall side to be able to achieve this detail. The stucco cost $34,500. The plumbing trade cost $32,100, and the plumbing trade is broken down into 3 phases. The first phase being the underground plumbing, which goes under the concrete slab, $8,000. The next phase is the rough-in plumbing, which goes in all the walls before they get insulated, $13,000. And then the last phase of the plumbing costs $5,000, and that is for the trim-out phase, where they come install all of the trim and the fixtures, like the water faucets, the shower heads, and so on. The electrical costs $37,800, and I can remember the original bid I got from the electrician was only $25,000. So that means I made $12,800 towards upgrades on the electrical trade on this build, starting with the exterior, where I installed over 100 soffit lights to illuminate the entire house in the night. Also, pretty much everywhere on the interior was an electrical upgrade, because everywhere the electrical plan said 5 ceiling lights, I decided to do 7. I just added extra lights everywhere, because honestly, there's nothing worse than turning on a light when it's dark outside and it not lighting up the room. So I upgraded everywhere for the electrical on this home build, and that reflects in the cost, $37,800. Now the HVAC costs $22,600, and this is actually a trade where I tried to lower my cost. Not sure if I'm gonna regret that in the future or not, but my original bid for the HVAC was $33,000, give or take, and I ended up sending my contact a message saying, hey, this is more than I can afford and more than I originally budgeted for. So we were able to lower it down to a $22,600 system. And I know one thing they did to lower the cost is I was going to have my upstairs, which is about 500 square feet. I was gonna have that on a separate unit. Instead, it is now incorporated to one of the first floor units. So we did some things to lower the cost to get the HVAC to $22,600. The carpentry cost $19,400, and that includes the baseboards, where I went with a flush baseboard detail. It includes the interior doors, door casing, and door trim, some shelves I did in some storage closets, and lastly, it includes the tongue and groove ceilings that I did on all of the exterior covered areas. The cabinetry and the quartz cost $67,600. Obviously, these are 2 trades where I decided to splurge a little bit to try to bring this house to a luxurious level. And I think that cost is so high because of the amount of quartz I used in this home build. Starting with the kitchen, you're looking at a 12-foot long island that's fully wrapped in a quartz material. And then on the back wall, there's quartz from the countertop to the 10-foot tall ceilings that wrap around that vent. Here in the kitchen alone, you're probably looking at 10 slabs of quartz material that goes for about $1,600 each per slab. So do the math, that's $16,000 in quartz material alone here in the kitchen. And that number also, the $67,600 number, also includes all the vanities, where in the powder bathroom, I did a really unique cloud vanity. On all the other vanities, I did a cool feature where the countertop drops down 4 inches. And then it also includes the surrounds on the shower tub combos in the 2 guest bathrooms, where I decided to do a quartz surround instead of a tile surround because it looks cleaner, there's no grout, it'll probably last longer, In my opinion, it's just what I like better.
My appliances in my kitchen and in my laundry room cost me $13,400.
And a hidden vault door behind these mirrors cost $1,900. The paint and stain trade cost $16,999. Obviously on the interior there was quite a bit of paint work, starting with the baseboards, the walls, and the ceilings, and then there was some stain work done on the stairs. But on the exterior there really wasn't that much paint and stain work. We only painted the fascia and the soffit, and then we stained the tongue and groove ceilings on the back porch, the front porch, and then the covered portiche. One thing I learned on this project is you do not have to paint stucco. I kind of came into this project, I never done stucco before, and I thought we'd have to paint all of the exterior walls. But I learned instead of painting them, the stucco application actually comes with a color baked in to the finish coat. So when they put the finish coat, it comes with whatever color you want for your stucco. This semi-floating staircase cost $17,500. My home security system, my surround sound system in my living room, my exterior stereo system on my back porch, and then my camera system that gives me 360-degree view of the exterior of my house, as well as a couple cameras on the interior, cost $10,900. The Tadillac plaster, which I have here on this back wall, also on this drop ceiling in my master bedroom, and then in my master bathroom I have it on all the walls and the ceiling. In my living room I have it on the fireplace, which goes 20 foot from floor to ceiling, and then in the other 3 guest rooms I did 3 accent walls with a lime wash paint, cost $15,000. This automatic curtain in my master bedroom, and then 5 other automatic roller shades I have in the guest rooms, cost a total of $2,500. This automatic curtain is really cool, and it cost $1,000 out of that $2,500, and then the 5 roller shades cost about $300 each. This 20-foot garage door cost $3,600. My septic sewer system, which is below these 3 green lids, cost me $9,100. The rough grade, the final grade, the irrigation, and all of the landscape where the plants and rocks wrap all the way around my house 360 degrees cost me $70,000. My fence cost $5,300. My driveway cost $16,800. And last but not least, my pool and spa combo here in the middle of my backyard cost me $68,900. And if you add up all those costs, you will still not get $948,000, and that is because there were miscellaneous costs on the project. Costs like going to Home Depot probably 10 to 15 different times throughout the course of the build and spending $10 or $100 or $500, or costs like putting a dumpster on the site to throw away all the trash and haul it off, and several other miscellaneous costs. So if you add up all the costs in this video as well as the miscellaneous cost, you will get the grand total of $948,000. And as promised, if you stick around to the end of the video, as you did, you will now see my total cost tracker where I list every cost I incurred on this project as it happened in real time, down to the penny, as well as, of course, the total cost. As always, if you guys are looking to learn how to build your own house, then click the links down below in the top of the description to check out my owner builder resources to see every way that I can help you become an owner builder today. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Deuces.